Hello everyone, this is Richard with Starfield Essentials. In today's video we're going to be showing how to get a character to the point where they can add modifications to any weapon that they like. This process requires a weapon to modify, so in this case we're going to be using an advanced hard target. We're also going to need skills in the science tree, namely weapons engineering and special projects. We're going to need to do a ton of research. We're going to need resources and components. And finally, we'll need a plan concerning what we want that weapon to do. In my case, I want this to be a long-range sniper weapon that hits hard but isn't necessarily used for stealth. So let's get started. The first thing you'll need is an industrial workbench, and I have an industrial workbench already. You'll also need a weapons workbench, and I have one as well. And you will need some resources for the first step of this process. Now what I've done is I've broken down the entire video into 4 main parts. Each one has a batch of resources required. So here's batch 1, batch 2, batch 3, and batch 4. And along the way I'll show you what's required at each step. I've also decided, rather than using pre-made manufactured components, I'm going to craft everything that I need. This is just a personal preference. You could decide to go out and get the Positron batteries or whatever it is that you need, but I decided to start with raw materials. So in each one of these batches, these are the raw materials we will need in order to accomplish our mission. Finally, I am doing this on PC, on Steam, and this is a modded build. However, I'm not using any mods to accomplish this goal. The only real mod that I used in the preparation of this video was this Trade Authority kiosk, so I could buy all these resources and put them in these industrial crates. So the very first thing we want to do is make sure that we have skills set up. In the science tree, we're going to want to start with 1 point in weapon engineering, and we're going to want to put 1 point into special projects. Now, I've already put 1 point into weapon engineering. I have not made any progress yet on the challenges. So I have not yet put a point into special projects. I'll do that now. And as you can see, I have obviously made no challenge progress. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the resources I need out of batch 1. These resources would be the ones you would need to create both the industrial workbench and the weapon workbench if you didn't already have it, plus accomplishing the first tasks that we need. So I'm simply going to take all of these resources. And remember, when you're crafting, you can get resources from containers that are outside. You can get them from your personal inventory, or you can get them from your ship inventory. In this video, I'm going to be putting everything onto my personal inventory. So we're going to start at the weapon workbench, and we're going to rank up our weapon engineering skill. So we're going to be making changes to this advanced hard target, and what we need to do in order to rank up from weapon engineering 1 to weapon engineering 4 is to make modifications to this weapon. And the easiest way to do that is simply to add and remove the same component over and over again. So the component we're going to be changing is a muzzle component, and it is the compensator. Now what's interesting is, to add the compensator, you need 1 aluminum and 1 nickel. And then we're going to remove that. And to remove it, or to here install the no mod option, you need 1 iron and 1 nickel. And as you can see, we're making progress in weapon engineering. So I'm going to repeat this. And we have now satisfied the challenge requirement for weapon engineering 2. So we're going to exit. And we're going to put a skill point into weapon engineering to get rank 2. And we're going to now repeat this process. We're going to do the same thing now 15 times. And we have completed that challenge, so we'll exit. Now we'll achieve rank 3, and we have to do this same process 30 times to get to rank 4. and 30. That is it. We now have Weapons Engineering 4, and this completes phase 1 of the project. The next stage of the project is to craft items that we're going to need both for research and for modifications later. Now, I'm going to drop the unneeded resources from phase 1. This adhesive, aluminum, etc. I'm going to store all that. Remember, those are the resources that I would have needed to build the Industrial Workbench and the Weapon Workstation if I didn't already have them. All right, for phase 2, this is what we're going to need. I'm going to take it all. And in phase 2, we're going to be ranking up our special project skill. And just to remind everyone, we do have 1 point in special projects. And to rank up special projects to rank 2, we need to craft 10 uncommon or common manufactured components. So we're going to start out by creating 10 zero wire. And that has satisfied that first skill challenge. We'll use that zero wire later as well. So now we'll go over to special projects. We'll rank up to rank 2. Now we have to craft 10 rare manufactured components. And for that, we're going to be crafting 10 positron batteries. Now, the positron battery has requirements for that. So if we were to take a look at it, you can see that we need 1 Tau Grade Rheostat for every positron battery. So we're going to craft those first. So we're going to craft 10 of those. And now we'll craft our 10 positron batteries. And we have achieved the Special Projects Challenge. So let's put our skill into that. Now we're looking at the skill challenge that says craft 10 exotic manufactured components. We have now completed the requirements for Special Projects 3. This is all that we need in order to achieve the research to continue our modification process. In the course of doing the next step in the process, however, we will craft what we need for the challenge progress for rank 4. So if you choose to add a skill point there, we'll be able to do that. And we'll probably do that once we get to that part of the game. That completes phase 2. Now, phase 3 of this process involves performing the research that we need in order to unlock all the weapon modifications. There's a ton of requirements for this as far as components needed for the research. So what we're going to do now is check our inventory again. And we have positron battery and zero wire on us. We're going to be using that later. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take all of the items out of storage for phase 3. And as you can see, there's a ton of it. There we go. So we have all the resources we need now for performing our next step, phase 3. Now within phase 3, we're going to have to craft quite a bit in order to get the components that we need in order to do the research. So let's go ahead and start with that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to craft 24 isocentered magnets. Next, we're going to craft 31 isotopic coolants. Next, we're going to craft 2 Paramagnon conductors. Next, we're going to craft 8 supercooled magnets. Now we're going to craft 16 Tau Grade Rheostats. We're going to craft 43 more zero wires. We're going to craft 8 microsecond regulators. And you can see we're making progress on our special projects. Now the last one we need is we need to create 2 power circuits. However, I am missing some palladium for that. So let me just check and see if I have some of that. There's my palladium. Okay. And power circuits. We need to craft 2 power circuits. And as you can see, we just qualified for Special Projects rank 4, which let's go ahead and just put a skill point into that. If you have a skill point, that's great. You don't strictly need it, but I'm going to throw it in there, so I can craft unique components later if I decide I want to do that. All right, so I believe that is all of the crafting we need to do for our research. So we're going to come over to research, and here we have a research lab. Now, you need to have a research lab as well. I didn't include that in the requirements initially. I should have done that. If you're in the Frontier, there's a research lab, obviously, that you could use. There's a research lab in the basement of the lodge if you want to use. But here we are, a research lab. So I am going to now perform all of the weapons research that we need in order to unlock everything. And that's my goal here, is just simply to unlock everything. And I'm not using any chems to reduce the requirements. I wanted to try to be as accurate as possible with this. So let's simply perform all the research. And you can see why we needed all of these resources as we're going through this process. We're getting some overflow here, which reduces our requirements, which is fine. But I planned this out so that in case that does not happen, we have everything we need. At least that was the plan. And that is it. We have completed all the research required to add any modification we want to a weapon. So that completes that phase of our project. The last thing we need to do is we need to craft a few more resources that we need for some of the mods on the weapon themselves. So we're going to take everything out of our last crate here. This is in phase 5. And we'll go back to our industrial workbench. And we're going to craft 4 zero wire. and 1 Isocentered Magnet. Now, the combination of that 0 wire and the isocentered magnet and the raw materials that we have in our inventory from batch 5, this will give us the ability now to add whatever mods we want to our weapon. And the mods that I've chosen for this weapon, I want the long barrel, recon laser sight, long scope, muzzle brake, tactical grip, armor piercing rounds, and high powered rounds. So let's make those changes. So first, long barrel. And you can see on the right there the requirements. For example, 1 iron, 1 sealant, and 1 nickel. We've got all those, obviously, so we're going to apply that. For the laser, we want the recon laser sight. You can see the requirements in the upper right. Vanadium, adhesium, 0 wire, and palladium. For the optic, we're going to go with a long scope. For the muzzle, we're going to do a muzzle brake. For the grip and stock, we're going to do the tactical grip. And as you notice, as we're making changes in the upper left, the designator for this weapon is changing. It's now become the Technician's Advanced Hard Target. And along the way, you probably saw it changing as well. So now we'll change the magazine and battery. And we're going to go for armor-piercing rounds. Now it's a Professional's Advanced Hard Target. And finally, for the internal, we're going to go with high-powered. This is a long-range weapon, but I feel like the range is enough as it is, and I prefer the knockdown power, so I'm going to go with high-powered. And now it's the Commander's Advanced Hard Target. And there are no skins available in the game at this point. So there we are. If we take a look at our weapon now, we have our Commander's Advanced Hard Target with those modifications that we wanted. And we are all set. So here we are now with our Commander's Hard Target. There's Marika in the background waiting for us. I hope you enjoyed this video. This to me is a very complicated process. There were many phases involved. There was a lot of planning required to figure out exactly what resources were needed in order to make which components so that you could fulfill each one of the requirements. But we did it, and I hope that you find this useful. The process that I followed would be the same one that you could follow up to the very last step where you add in whichever mods that you want. Each one of those mods has different requirements, so you'll want to check out what those requirements are in order to get the resources that you need. But all the other steps, getting your weapons engineering skill, your special project skill, doing the research, all of that requires the exact same items. My name is Richard. This is Starfield Essentials. If you like this content, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the Starfield.